Hi, this is Micornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. I want to just highlight things that you need to avoid as a guest speaker, things that you need to avoid when you are invited somewhere as a guest speaker. Because you might be invited in a conference somewhere, you are invited in a church somewhere next door to go and preach and minister. As a guest speaker, remember that this is not your own church. This is somebody's church who would love to host you in their own way. And I want you to look at some few things that we compiled as Church Governance Solutions that will assist you actually to avoid when you are being invited as a guest speaker. And one of those is that you must never undermine nor look down upon your host and their leadership. And I want to emphasize this one. Please don't look down upon the host and the leadership. I've mentioned it in the previous lesson as well, but this is very key and important. And I emphasize it that looking down upon people is whereby you come to somebody's church and think that they are not organized. You are more organized than them. To come to a church that you are invited in and start looking down and say, the choir is not singing well. And that is why sometimes we see pastors that are invited in a conference somewhere. They come there, they take over the praise and worship. Now, I want to organize you here that if they didn't organize you or invite you for the praise and worship, they've got their own people to praise and worship. Even though that choir may be not of the standard that you like, don't undermine the people. So please, this is their church. They've invited you to come and preach, and do just exactly that and go to your home. And this is very important. So please don't start doing things that you're not invited for. Don't come and start criticizing the setup of the church. Don't come and criticize how things have been arranged. Don't come and criticize how things are done in a particular church. That is undermining people. And I want to warn you as a guest speaker that please don't do that. Be orderly and well-mannered, and don't criticize in other people's churches. Avoid charging a fee or putting a price for your preaching when you are invited. There are those pastors that will say, no, I've been abused enough by people, so therefore, before I leave, I would want to have 10,000 rands in my bank account. Now, you are charging now for the gospel. You are charging now for the preaching. Now, this is not on, because when you start to put a fee to the gospel or to the invitation, you are going to find it difficult to be accessible to people. Because some of the pastors that may not be able to raise the money that you're asking is going to blockade them, and it's going to be a hindrance to them. They're not going to be able to access you. But remember that freely given is your gospel, whereby you need to be therefore ready to go and minister in nations, whereby God will provide you. I'm not condoning the disorganization of some churches and ministers who will invite people without budget, who will invite people without setting up a fee to reimburse the petrol fee or to reimburse the transportation for the guest speaker. I'm not condoning that, because that is totally utter disorganization and disorder in a church like that. Because if you are running a church, you invite people. So please consider at least transporting them to come and go. This is very key, and that's very basic. And I hope that we hear each other there. So don't put a fee there for as a guest speaker. Don't charge for your preaching, because by so doing, then you are charging for the gospel that Jesus died for people for. And many other churches that may not have the fee that you're calling for may not be able to access you, while God called you for them as well. This is very key, and I hope it is very clear. Avoid charging. Also avoid late arrival when invited, because there are those of you that you are invited, but you will leave at the time when the service starts, and you know that you're traveling a distance. Now, people are sitting and waiting. By the time they're supposed to call you up to the pulpit, you're still on the road, and they don't know where you are. And sometimes with our load sharing, times where the connections is not right on the cell phone, they're trying to call you, they cannot even find you. Now, poor people, they are panicking. They don't know where the guest speaker is. The guest speaker has disappeared in thin air, has lost a way to arrive. They are waiting for a guest speaker that they are not sure anymore if you're still on the way. So don't make people to panic. Don't put people in panic mode. So please arrive early. Let them relax and know that you are around. Let them organize their things and know that you're around. And generally, even before the service starts, it is very important that you arrive early so that they can be at ease and comfortable knowing that our guest speaker is around. Also avoid contesting against the seating arrangements. There are times whereby a guest speaker arrive and they want to seat you in a certain place. You start debating with the ushers. You start debating with the people that have arrived for you. Please sit where you are allocated, sir. Make sure that you sit where you are been allocated, where they're showing you. Sit there. Don't contest it. Don't say, I cannot sit here, I want to sit there. It's not your place. It's not your church as well. So please, when you are a guest speaker, allow the people to sit you where they want to sit you, because they've arranged that in time and well in advance so that you are going to sit at a certain point. And when you arrive, they're taking you up to that place. So please, don't make them start contesting with you to where you must sit. Allow them to sit you where they want you to sit. That's very important. Do not step up onto the pulpit before being properly introduced and called up. We've seen this happening, whereby a minister as a guest speaker would rush up and walk up to the pulpit without being called by the host, without being introduced either, because they will say, no, the Spirit of the Lord led me to go up to the pulpit. Listen to this. The Holy Spirit is not the spirit of disorder. The Holy Spirit is full of order. And that is the reason why we emphasize the fact that you must be careful not to climb or ascend to the stage without being called, without being invited at all, without being introduced. That is disorderly. So therefore, wait until the host go up, and they will introduce you and they will call you up. So they will welcome you up to the pulpit. Don't welcome yourself. I've seen in some conferences where ministers will go up the pulpit of the place where they've been invited, and 1, 2, 3, the host is looking for the guest speaker. The guest speaker's up on the stage already. That's a total utter disorder, and we've seen this happening. So please, we warn you not to do that. So please make sure that you are very orderly. Avoid criticizing systems in invited churches. And I must emphasize this once more, that when you arrive in a church, it's not time to start criticizing the setup. It's not time to start criticizing how they run their church, because they run their church the way they want to run the church. So therefore, they're not going to do things the way you want them to do. They're going to do things the way they want to do them, because it's their church by the way. It's their church overall. So please don't forget that it is not your church. So therefore, please don't impose yourself in other people's churches. Stop criticizing. Avoid pitching up in inappropriate dress code. There are those ministers that will arrive in inappropriate, revealing clothes and tight clothes that shows the whole body and curvatures of the body. No, that's inappropriate. So when you're putting on inappropriate clothing, you would know, because you yourself would not be comfortable with what you're putting on. And I'm not going to teach about clothing here. I'm not going to start here teaching about how people should dress, but there are things that are exposing. There are clothes that are really totally inappropriate. And we've seen people doing that, and that is undermining the people that have invited you. So please be careful of that. Scrutinize yourself, be comfortable, and make sure that you dress appropriately. And as I said, I'm not going to prescribe dress code here, but I'm going to speak about don't step up with clothes that are revealing. That's inappropriate, of course. And there are many other ways of dressing up that are inappropriate that you would know yourself. So please, don't ask me, Pastor, why are you preaching about clothes? It is purely because we want to restore godly order in the house of the orderly God. And that's very important for us as Church Covenant Solutions. And we are emphasizing this, that ministers should be dressing like ministers. And that's very key to do that. Avoid honoring invitations without thorough preparations as well. Because there are those of you who are invited, and you get excited about the invitation, and you forget preparing. because you're excited about the invitation. There are those of you who literally undermine the people and you don't prepare, and you're going to pull out your favorite message that might not be appropriate even for that particular conference. So please, 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 please don't bore us with that. Don't bring your own favorite message. There is a theme that you've been given in advance, and you have been given that theme in advance for a purpose. So please, we have given you in advance for preparation. So prepare thoroughly so that you can be able to deliver according to the theme that we gave you. This is very, very key and very important that we emphasize as well. So please prepare thoroughly. Read scriptures, align them, put up your proper theme that you want to address things about. Look at your logistical flow of your notes, write notes, let them be clear to you so that they can be clear to the people. All those things we emphasize that you prepare well in advance, and that is very, very important. Avoid socializing with members without permission of the host. We have seen ministers that have been invited to become guest speakers. Some socialize with people to an extent that they invite them to their hotel rooms and so on. That is totally inappropriate. And I want to emphasize that every consultation with the members, so please make sure that the host is aware of. We have seen young preachers going out as guest speakers and mingle with sisters and start tarnishing the name of the host because they're spending time with sisters, and that is totally inappropriate. And I want to emphasize that please make sure that whenever you socialize with the people, the members of the church, please let the guest speaker be aware of. And also we know that in every church there will be those that will be rushing to the guest speaker after ministering, and they will go and share their problems, and they will spend time with the guest speaker. And some of them are malicious, we know, and some of them are really genuine, but all that must be passing through the guest, the host, so that he can authorize that or keep guard, because they need to protect you as well. Very, very important that we emphasize that. I'm really emphasizing that, and I want to say also never invite along your entourage of friends and post-service dinners. And we have seen this happening as well, whereby you've come with the whole crowd of people and you never actually indicated in advance. But then during the dinner, post-service dinner, you are there rocking up with them. They prepared food maybe for you and your wife, or you and your husband only, and you come with the whole entourage. And then you make the people look disorganized because they've prepared just a meal for the two of you. Now everybody's there. Then they cannot have food for themselves as well. But if you told them in advance, they could have prepared earlier. Not that they don't respect you, but they could have prepared earlier. And that's the reason why we emphasize. So please tell them in advance if you're having the whole entourage of people that you're coming along with. I want to end up here today. Your host, Micornus Phokane. Thank you very much for listening to us and being part of this great teaching. And I hope you've learned out of this. But before I check out, I just want to draw your attention to our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Micornus Phokane. Make sure that also what you do is you click like to our Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, to our Facebook page, Young Church Governance Solutions. Make sure that you also click notification buttons right there so that every video that we post, you may be notified of it and be able to learn out of it as well. May the good Lord bless you. Allow me to check out here once more and say, your host, Micornus Phokane. Cheers for now.